them.
Yeah,
Um,
I really like that Willoughby.
yeah, yeah, that I mean that's a great concept he has of how to do a program. And I really appreciate that a lot.
I think I'll go to Willoughby too.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I'm on my head now. Yeah, it was a Twilight Zone about a guy who was having a really difficult time in his life, and he kept having these dreams about this place called Willoughby, where it was back in the 1800s, and everything was quiet and everybody was happy, and it was just beautiful. And then he finally the conductor in his dream is like, next he's on the train and his next stop Willoughby, and finally he decides to get off and go to Willoughby, and the next scene they show him laying on the outside of the train, and the conductor's there, and they're like, well, I don't know what happened, he just jumped up and ran off the train. And then Willoughby and Sons is the morgue or whatever that the truck is there to pick him up. And it just was really that was one of those ones that written by Rod Serling. What a brilliant man Rod Serling is. And how incredible all of his work that he did with the various Twilight Zones. Hey Regis, good to see you, brother. So, and just so as you know, there'll be plenty of food if you all just decide to sneak in at Thanksgiving. It'd be we have a very casual. Um, so we don't have a big like sit at the table and have a big party or big fancy meal. It's just I have my kids, my family, like I have a huge, kind of extended family that are Mexican. So, and if you've ever been around a lot of Mexican people, you know that they are like family oriented, um, having, wonderful um, get-togethers and parties and great food. And uh, I, if I got to come back again, which I am not planning on it, that's when I would come back in a Mexican family. I guess I got a Mexican family anyway, but there's it's so interesting to me. I don't understand why people, think such negative things about people, um, because they're wonderful. Anyway, so good evening, everybody, and welcome. We are looking at the psychotherapy pamphlet, and let me get that up and running for us.
Lynn, can I just comment on that family thing?
Sure.
Yeah, I just got back from Arizona. My brother lives in Scottsdale, and he just turned 96. And people from around the country, family from around the country, showed up for a 2-day family reunion. I mean, they flew in from as far away as New York just to be there for a couple of days, just so the family, could be together. The family bond is so incredibly strong in my family that it's a little kind of indescribable. And it goes beyond just comfort, and a level of communication is so love based and full of humor and full of caring and still of camaraderie and stuff like that. And when you just talked about Mexicans and how closely knit their families are, it just rings so true to me. And other people, when they talk about God, I don't have anything to do with my family. I can't stand those people. Hey, man, you need to look inside and see what the hell's going on with you, because, ooh, wherever you go, you're taking you with you, and you're taking it. If they take that attitude, a place where they're never going to have a good time. It's just astounding. Anyhow, I feel so blessed and so grateful to be able to have come from a family like this. And even though we're scattered all over the country, and some of us all over the world, that bond never breaks. It's just astounding. Anyhow, I just wanted to share that.
I agree with you completely, Rafi, and it's so interesting because yeah, my family, my from oh, there goes Regis. My family, they are uh you know, when we're together, we have a great time. We love each other. We have a wonderful time. But boy, you know, don't start talking about politics or religion or anything like that. You know, because you know people have so much uh so much to worry about, think about, that actually divides us. And you know, I just don't understand it. You know what, there should be nothing that stands between me and my family. And you know, I have one sister left out of six kids, six of us. I have one sister that's left, and you know, lots of various nieces and nephews. But even they don't get together. I mean, they have so much religious and political, but mainly, I think mainly it's religious. And I'm not even sure why that is, because religion is about bringing people together, not about separating people out. But you know, when you know somebody has the idea that God wants something to be a certain way, it's really hard to, you know, if you don't agree with that, to get along. So I don't understand it either.
Well,
But
during the whole time we were there, none of that stuff ever comes up. Everybody
right.
respects everybody's whatever they want. They don't even mention it. So and what you just mentioned about what God wants, I just heard a great expression. It says, uh, I don't mind God telling me what to do. What I mind is God telling you to tell me what to do. I said,
Yeah,
whoa, perfect.
exactly. Well, and you know, think about it. Why would God tell you to tell me something?
No,
Why
nobody
don't
knows.
he just talk to me?
That's all ego.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you completely. And you know, I got that whole thing is you know, it's an individual thing, and God is in each and every one of us. And you know, whatever, you know, God wants, you know, you know, we have to know it for ourselves. And you know, personally, I just have a belief, and I, you know, obviously I study A Course in Miracles. Personally, I have a belief that God's will for me is perfect happiness, and it's the same thing for you. And all God wants is to love me. So, you know, why would I not want what God wants, right? Why would I want something different? It
Happiness
makes
is
no sense.
God. Happiness is a synonym for God. Love is a synonym for God. Peace is a synonym. Okay,
Yeah,
you can call it whatever you want. Infinite being, consciousness, awareness. You can kind of like Les always says, you can allude to it, but you can't name it exactly until you know you are that. Then you don't have to name it because you are that.
right. You don't know. Yeah, and there's no difference. Yeah, Wayne played a great song today on his program. That song called "What If God Was One of Us," which is really, uh, you know, that's, you know, it's a thing. You know, God is in everything. God is everybody. And so it was really fun. Anyway, there's somebody, there's Elizabeth, and there's Regis back. And so let's go get our book up and open. Let's see. Do I have it? Okay. So we are in the Song of Prayer, in the section called Prayer, and we're in section 3 called Praying for Others. And I think we might have read this paragraph last week, but I think I set it up so we can read it again. Uh, so uh, uh, oh, there's Rico. Hi, brother. Good to see you. All right. So who would like to read paragraph 4 of the Song of Prayer, praying for others? And let's see, get
I'll
my,
take it.
okay, great. Thank you, Rafi.
Guilt must be given up and not concealed. Nor can this be done without some pain, and a glimpse of the merciful nature of this step may for some time be followed by a deep retreat into fear. Mhm. For fear's defenses are fearful in themselves, and when they are recognized, they bring their fear with them. That's trying to protect yourself with fear, which is insanity. Yet, what advantage has an illusion of escape ever brought a prisoner? His real escape from guilt can lie only in the recognition that the guilt has gone. And how can this be recognized as long as he hides it in another and does not see it in his own? Fear of escape makes it difficult to welcome freedom. Wow. And to make a jailer of an enemy seems to be safety. How then can he be released without an insane fear for yourself? You have made of him your salvation and your escape from guilt. Your investment in this escape is heavy, and your fear of letting go is so strong. Says it right there. For fear's defenses are fearful in themselves. That's trying to protect yourself with fear. I'm going to try to, and what you fear will appear. I mean, it's self-destructive in its very nature. Wow.
Yeah, and what's the guilt? I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead, Rafi.
No, I finished. Go ahead. You had.
Okay, so yeah, the question I'm asking is, what is the guilt? And I know a lot of people who study A Course in Miracles, and they say, I don't get why he's talking about all this guilt. I don't feel any guilt. And so, my question is, if you don't feel any guilt, then why are you afraid? Why why are you afraid of the world, of your brother, of God, of anything? It's because this belief that somehow or the other, um, you've done something. I've done something to separate me from my brother, my family, whatever. And what is that thing I've done? I've judged them. If you don't have guilt for anything else ever, if you are judging your brother, you will feel guilty because you will be unfairly accusing them of something that can't possibly be true. So, if I'm looking at my brother and I'm talking about any person that appears in the world, I'm looking at my brother and I'm saying, oh yeah, this guy is awful, evil. This guy is shady. This woman is, she can't be trusted. I have to worry about what she's going to do to me, or what she's going to say about me behind my back, or we look at our brothers, we look at each other, and we look for the things that we think are that they are doing wrong or could possibly do wrong, or in the future might might decide to do wrong, something to hurt us, even to the point of giving us a disease or germs, or I mean, we go into this place where we're afraid of the other. And when I'm afraid of the other, I'm actually accusing the other of being dangerous and not trustworthy, not worthy of my love, not worthy of my connection. And you cannot help but feel guilty if you are accusing your brother of treachery. It's a false accusation. It's about something that didn't happen or couldn't happen. But when we do that, we're also accusing ourselves, because we're saying, I know what treacherous is because I'm treacherous myself. I'm I talk about you behind your back too. I worry about, what you're going to do to, you're going to affect my bank account, or you're going to affect my family, or my relationships, or my health, or, constantly looking uh, for something in the other to prove that I'm right and they're wrong. And this is not something, we do because we want to hurt people or hurt ourselves. This is something that we do because it's the nature of the ego to look out from itself and see attack and worry about attack. And I see a couple of hands up. I saw Rafi's hand up. I see Regis's hand up. I'm not sure who was first. Well, I guess Rafi took his down. Regis, what you got to say about this?
Yeah, Rafi was up first. I don't know if he still wanted to go or not, but
Well, no, go ahead. I just wanted to reevaluate what I was going to say.
no problem. But when you first uh, began to ask the question about guilt, one of the things that I realized is that people don't recognize the guilt, Lynn, because guilt is the norm. It's like, you know, just like the body. We've been in this body so long, we think we are the body, you know, and so because it's funny to me, like you all know the mantra that I came up with a few years ago. I say no with love and no guilt, and I can share that with people, and the first thing they'll say, "Oh, I don't have any problem saying no to people." And then the reason I shared it to them because they probably was telling me about a story where somebody asked them for something that they didn't want to do or didn't want to give. And so why were you even telling me this story? If it bothered you so much that now you're telling me the story, and now I tell you my mantra about I say no with love and no guilt, and you tell me I don't have any problem saying no. I don't feel guilty for saying no. You know, so it's like the whole conversation that you just had with me was guilt ridden. You know, it's like, so it's like, it's just that it's been such a norm. It's so normal. Like I remember sharing with this group, not this exactly Thursday night, but it was a group that you and Dove was in. And like with my wife one time, I was, we would try to have conversations and they would break down real quick. And then I started realizing I would just ask a question or something and she would start being defensive. And so I used the course. I said, why do you feel like I'm attacking you? I don't feel like you're attacking me. That's what she's saying. I don't feel like you're attacking me. I'm like, well, why are you being defensive? Listen at the words that you just said back to me. You're defending yourself. Do you feel like I attack you in some way? So that kind of made her mind kind of like, whoa, let me think about what I'm saying and what I'm thinking about. Okay, so I am being defensive. I said, so what about what I just said makes you feel attacked? But see, people, it's just a human experience. When the norm has been to be fearful and guilty, when they first start reading the course or hearing people talk about the course, it's the first. Of course, the ego speaks first and speaks loudest. And what the ego says is, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with fear. I don't have a problem with guilt. So because it's the norm. The only guilt that this world knows is like if I commit a crime or I run into somebody's car or something like that, then I may feel guilty. But they're not even attuned to this whole thought system in the way that they are perceiving life in themselves, in this body, in this world. They're not even tuned into that yet. It's just like the air they breathe. It's guilt and fear. you know. So anyway, that's all I had to say about it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Regis. And I mean, this is what this thing is saying. This is the natural way of the ego, is to look for guilt in another, to try to hide my own belief that I'm guilty. And, even you just brought up, people studying the course, how much guilt is involved in studying A Course in Miracles? I didn't do my lesson today, or I didn't do my lesson right, or I judged another,
Yep.
I did this, we use it to beat ourselves up, when the whole point of it is to release us from that. So and this is why we have to look at our own thinking and see, what am I really doing here? Rafi, did you want to say something then, or?
Well, what hit me is, and it's been pretty much covered, but just from coming out of what came out of me, is that as soon as you project that on somebody else, your guilt, and then you say they're bad,
Mm-hmm.
next step is they're going to hate me and they're going to want to get me. and they could live 3 states away from you and have no idea who the hell you are. But because that's the way the ego mind works, it immediately goes into a defensive mode. My God, it's coming from a point of view of paranoia. I mean, I can remember a long times ago, I'm in my house and I'm going from the dining room upstairs to the bedroom, and I'm walking up the steps and saying, my mind says to me, there's somebody outside the house that hates you, and they're going to get you. They're watching you. They're waiting for you to make a mistake so they can get you. And I looked at them. It broke me up. You know, like Dove always says, you got to laugh. I mean, the insanity of it, the absurdity of it hit me so strong. But as far as the ego mind was concerned, that was definite and sincere. And I looked at it and I said, okay, spread that out even wider. Anytime is a political person that you didn't vote for going to come to your house and get you? Is is somebody you broke up with 10 years ago who is now happily married and has children going to come to your house and hate you and kill you and hurt? But that's the way minds work. And if you don't back off from that and take a look at it and see the absurdity of it and get caught up in it, then, I mean, it's constant judging, and it's constant coming from that fear of defense. And again, like I said before, it's trying to protect yourself with fear, which is insane.
Yeah.
Because what you fear will appear. It happened to me today on a whole different basis. I was working with a release thing from the Sedona method, and the lady was talking about something about getting your goals. And I looked at it and I realized there were some goals that I was afraid, or I felt afraid that I was never going to get. If I'm afraid I'm never going to get those goals, guess what? I ain't never going to get those goals until I bring up the fear and let it go, because the fear is what's keeping them away. It has nothing to do with goals. It has to do with, getting your mind quiet and getting to self-realization. But that stuff is in the way of it. And all of this guilt and anger and fear and all of this stuff is in the way of it. And if we don't get rid of it and quiet our minds down or transcend the mind, then freedom or self-realization, I think you call it atonement or whatever you call it, doesn't matter. You ain't going to reach it, okay?
Yeah.
Lifetime.
You gotta laugh.
Yes.
I really believe when it's in the biblical story, when God said to Adam and Eve, why are you hiding? Who said you were naked? I really don't think they realized that they were hiding, or that they were, they thought this is the natural way we're supposed to respond to you. They didn't, when he came back with questions like, why are you hiding and who said you were naked? They were speaking to him like, oh, this is reasonable. What we're saying to you is reasonable. We're naked. And, and God is saying, who said you were naked? So it's all of this, like Tracy and I was just talking a couple of days ago about, like, she'll say to me, we'll be downstairs. Of course, I'm a night hawk. I can stay up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God.
And you never hear me complaining about being tired, sleepy, or wish I had went to bed earlier. I just don't need that many hours of sleep. Now she can sleep 10 hours straight. I mean, and she could go for 12, but so she go to bed. So we'll be sitting downstairs in the evening, and she'll get tired and sleepy. And she'll say something like, I'm going to have to leave you, honey. I'm going to have to go. She'll say, I'm like, why do you say it like that? It's like, you're not doing anything wrong because you sleepy and want to go to bed. You can just say, hey, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I'm going to bed. See you later, bye. But that guilt is like, she says it like what she's doing is not unacceptable or is something wrong. And I mean, I did it today. I substitute teacher that teached at a school. I went out for my lunch. I came back in. When I came back in, the principal was in the way the school is set up, there's a big glass window when you walk in. That's the secretary's office, and they let people in and out of the building. But the principal was in there when I came back in, and she said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about something. I got something." I immediately thought I'd done something wrong. Immediately, I mean, not a half a breath. I immediately thought what she caught me doing wrong. Like, she caught me with my hand in the cookie jar. And what she said to me, hey, after the Thanksgiving holiday, we're expanding a classroom, and we wanted you to just wanted to know if you would be willing to come here every day on a regular basis. Because they've been telling me all week how they like, you're so good with the kids, and this kid is always a problem, and you're so good with them. You know, I've been hearing that stuff all week. And so, but immediately, as soon as she said, I want to talk to you, you know, what did I do wrong? She got, you know, she caught me doing something. I did something, you know, and it was nothing like that. It was just, you know, again, it was more of a compliment than anything to extend the invitation for me to come there on a regular basis.
Exactly, exactly. And the thing that's so crazy about that, Regis, because you hit a nerve. I do the same thing. You know, somebody say, I need to talk to you about something. First thing I knew is I'm going into guilt. What did I do? What did I say? How did I? And I go into that. But the other part of that, which is what this thing is talking about, I blame them. It's your fault for being so narrow-minded. It's your fault for and you know, Adam and Eve, you know, they were blaming God. Hey, you're the one that made me feel bad about myself, so I have to hide my body. Well, no, he didn't. He had nothing to do with that. But that's how we transfer this guilt to the other and make it seem like the other is our critic and not even recognize that it's all right here in my own mind. I'm making the whole thing up, all of it.
And
Right?
I love how God did not play into it. Like, you know, like we as human experience, we don't want to hurt people's feelings, and we try to humor them. But God didn't do that. He's like, I didn't say you was naked. You know, you're not going to get me to buy into your guilt story. And like you saying, Lynn, and make me to be you finding fault with me, saying I'm the reason for your guilt. And God would not play into that. He's like, who said you were naked? You know?
I love that,
Yeah.
Regis. That's beautiful. Rafi, please go ahead.
The phrase I carry with me all the time is, it's never them. And that gets me through everything. Now there's never any blame, there's never any being critical, there's no being defensive, there's no being offended. It's never them. It's my picture. They're the mirrors to it. And all of this has been specifically, beautifully designed for my benefit, to wake me up. And you know, like and so many always say, bless your triggers. Let me see another trigger. You got another trigger for me? Because it's going to spur my way to awakening, to enlightenment. It's never them.
It's always me.
There is no them.
Yeah, yeah. And that's exactly what this thing is saying. You know, until you can see that for yourself, then you're going to live in a world where you're in fear and you believe that your brother is the jailer. The person who has the opinion is the one who's keeping you in this fear. But you're the one that's keeping them in fear because you're seeing them as being something that they're not. And that's the real, you know, if there's any sin or mistake in any of this, it is me seeing my brother as something that he's not. And believing that my brother is seeing me as something I'm not. Believing that my brother is judging me. Believing that my brother is looking down on me or at me or seeing me as being less than them. And if I see that, then I'm gonna get angry. I'm gonna believe that I'm being oppressed. But then I'm gonna also know that it's not fair. That's not fair because I'm the one who made up the story. And as long as I make up a story about you oppressing me, then I'm going to feel guilty because it's not fair. Rafi, please go ahead.
I love it. Everybody, and that includes everybody that you meet, wants you to like them. I mean, in the release technique, we have every feeling comes down to three basic wants: three wanting approval, wanting control, and wanting to be safe. Everybody wants you to like them. Everybody wants you to love them. Everybody, they ain't out to get you. You know, that's that ego victim mentality, and that ego victim mentality tries to run everything from that point of view. But I don't care who it is, the person at the checkout counter at the store, the guy in the car who just cut you off, just think, oh, God, I hope they don't hate me, but I really got to get home. My kid's sick, you know, or whatever it is. But that's constant. Everybody. And so, and we're looking at them like they're going to hate me. No, it's because you want them to like you and you think that they won't. And and you hear the key word there. What's the key word? Think. Okay. Thinking this thing. As long as you think that way, you're screwed, and you ain't gonna be happy. And happiness, again, like we said before, is a synonym for God.
Yeah, and that's something that the Course of Miracles talks about is, that the us believing that our brother is oppressing us, and our brother is, and at this, and in doing that, we are doing the same thing to them. We're not seeing them as being the loving children or loving brothers that they are. And so a lot of what goes on in this world is action and reaction based on this belief in unfairness. And that is the one thing Jesus tells us: beware of the belief, beware of the thought that you can be unfairly treated. It's not possible except in the mind of the ego. And so this is, we really have to watch. I really have to watch my own uh, uh, projection of guilt onto my innocent brother, because in reality, everybody's innocent. Everyone is innocent. And I think your release technique is so beautiful, because what comes down to it after you go through all this, looking at, my desire for control, my desire to be right, or all these different thoughts that I have, when it comes right down to it, it's all about me and my thinking. And if I wasn't accusing you, you wouldn't be squirming away from me. You wouldn't be looking for something wrong in me that you could attack me on too. So yeah. Anybody else have any thought about this? Um, I think I want to reread the paragraph before we move on. Because I know when we first read it, I was kind of, swirling around in my mind, what the heck is really what he's saying here? But I think I have a pretty good idea now. So guilt must be given up and not concealed, nor can this be done without some pain, and a glimpse of the merciful nature of this step may for some time be followed by a deep retreat into fear. I think about that too. One of the things, I've never been in a 12-step program, but I've been around a lot of 12-step people. And one thing that 12-step emphasizes is making amends, and looking at, how did I offend my brother, and, how can I make amends to them for that offense? Um, but when you really look at it, uh, these are all these stories that we tell ourselves about things. I may not think, I think about, if anybody ever watched Seinfeld, which I was like addicted to Seinfeld and watched every time. There was one where James Spader is in it, and he is a guy who's in the 12 steps, and he's going out and making amends to all of these people that he feels like he's offended. And George Costanza, who is one of the characters who has a kind of uh, I don't even know what kind of guilt-ridden, I guess, personality. He is mad at this guy because he wanted to borrow his cashmere sweater, and the guy wouldn't let him borrow it because he was afraid that he would stretch it out because he had a big head. And so, when James Spader is going around making all these amends, and he doesn't go to George and make an amends for not letting him wear his sweater, George gets really mad about it. And, he's really angry. You need to be making amends to me because, that was really offensive. But, he didn't see it as being offensive at all. He just saw it as being practical. So his definition of offense and George's definition of offense were completely different. And he didn't feel guilty for not letting him wear his sweater. But George thought he was guilty for not letting him wear his sweater. And so I think that it has a lot to do with, what I define as sin, what I define as wrongdoing, what I define as, being offensive. And if I don't see it as being offensive, then I'm not going to be feeling guilty about it. But other people may think I am. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying here, but I just thought about that Seinfeld, because I've always been interested in the whole idea of making amends. And I know, yeah, gosh, if you were in a situation where, maybe you did, steal people's money or attack people or, do things to them that you both agreed were harmful, then it's okay to make it's a good thing. I guess good. I don't know if it's a good thing, but the helpful thing is to recognize that neither one of us, these are all our ideas of what guilt is. And the idea that I have of guilt is an idea that's based on my stories about the world and my stories about my life and what is important and what's not. And not all of us have the same thing. And you look at people and think, well, don't you have any morals? Shouldn't you be sorry for doing this or saying that? When other people think, well, that's just the natural way of it. And I think that's a little bit about what Regis was saying. We just think it's natural. So, and I can think of a million different ways in which that can cause problem. Rafi and then Rico.
You just reminded me of something that happened today. I got a scam call. A lady calls and said, please stay on the line. Somebody has stolen your identity. And blah, 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 blah. So a guy gets on, press 1 for this. So I stay on the line just to see what's going on. And this guy starts telling me about how 9 bank accounts have been opened in my name, and a card that they found was filled with cocaine and other drugs that they were driving across the border. And he was going on and on and on about all of this stuff. And I kept waiting for the time, what's your zip code? I told him my zip code. Do you have it? Is this your card? No, it's not my card. Do you have any? No, I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta go. And I waited till for him to ask me the key question, what is your bank account? Because that's what they were looking for. They go through all of this horrific stuff to get to this. And I said, oh, I don't have a bank account. And they go, what? You don't have a bank account? I said, no, I don't. And I said, so I get, but have a nice day. My impulse at the point was to say what you said. Haven't you got any morals at all? Don't you? How do you feel spending all day, every day, all week long, trying to cheat people out of their money? How to try to, but I didn't. All I said was, I understood where he's coming from. He he's listening to his mind, and his mind is telling him that he's got to do this, and he thinks it's right. And I thought, well, this is a great trigger. And so I just said, well, thank you, and have a nice day, and hung up. And then when I hung up the phone, I just laughed and thought, and then I just started sending him a lot of love.
Yep.
What a torturous life this guy's going through. And just because he's listening to that thing up there, tell him this is a good way to make money. Come on, man. It was
Yes.
just an amazing situation, and I was so glad I got to experience it, because it was a good lesson.
Yeah. And really, yeah, you have to you have to look at these people, they because they have that mindset already from our culture, they know that they're doing something that's, not right. So they're already guilting themselves, but you know what? They're blaming it on you. I mean, this is because this is the way the ego works. They blame I blame it on you, that you're making me feel bad. You're making me feel guilty. Thank you for not making them feel guilty. Thank you for blessing them, because that's really all they're calling for. They're calling for your blessing, and that's it. They may think that they're calling to get your bank account number, but really they're just calling to be blessed. And if you just that's how I keep in mind. That's the reason I'm connecting with these people, is because they need my blessing. And I'm glad to give it to them. Rico, hi, brother. Good to see you, my friend.
Good evening, family and friends. Thank you for letting me be here with you. I send you love and light from my heart to yours. Ralphie, that was good, man. You got a good heart. I get all these texts all the time or emails, people trying to get into things, and I say, I don't open them. What they want you to do is open it so they can hack you. And I'm saying, why would somebody want to spend 8 hours a day trying to rip somebody off? I mean, like you say, I'm gonna have to learn how to send them some love instead of sending them the other stuff I'm sending them. I just don't open them. I just delete them. That was funny that you said that on the phone. They tried that on the phone too, and I'm listening. I'm like you waiting for the punchline, and I want to say I should just tell this guy, don't waste your time, man. I know what you're doing, but I don't. I just listen to it. But now I don't even answer him anymore. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to share. I wanted to comment on the amends process that Lynn was talking about. You said you didn't know, what the results were. It's a very freeing, and one of the purposes is to get you to start off with a clean slate, that you don't have any skeletons behind you. All the marbles are on the table. You don't have to duck and hide from anybody, and it just gives you a freeing feeling to complete all your amends. So basically, for 12-step, that means you're now at a place where you don't owe anybody anything, and you're starting with a clean slate, and the only one that can mess up that clean slate is you. So that was the purpose of it. I just wanted to share that with you. It's a very good experience. For some people, it's very frightening, but it's a very freeing experience to know you can look any man or woman in the eye any time of the week, and you don't have to walk down the street no more like we used to, looking over your shoulder. So it's just a way to clean up the wreckage of your past. Even though there is no past, you clean up the wreckage that you've caused in other people's lives. So.
Well, yeah, and that's beautiful. Yeah, and it's all for me. It's all for me, so that I can be honest and open. And that's the bottom line right there, is being able to be honest and open, and not to be, like you said, afraid to look people in the eye. I see that I am I'm perfectly fine, and I haven't done anything to hurt anybody. And if I did, that hurt should be amended by my making amends. And I don't know. I'm sure that they probably talk about what happens if people don't accept your amends. But it's not up to it doesn't matter whether they accept it or not.
People say, I never want to see you again in my life. Your job is just to clean off your side of the street. The response doesn't matter whether they love you, like you, or hate you, doesn't matter. It's about you stepping up to the place, being humble. Humility has a lot to do with being humble and just cleaning off your side of the street. I can't clean off anybody else's side of the street or how they're going to respond to it. I'm just responsible for cleaning off my side of the street. because you have to start being honest and humble somewhere in your life. And for us, that's a good place to start.
Yeah, and I love that because yeah, anytime we live dishonest lives. I don't think that, the ego life has never been an honest life. Uh, and I'm not saying that because, I think people are guilty. I just think that we're trained from an early age not to tell the truth. If your mom comes in and says, "Who spilled that milk?" You're gonna say, "I don't know," or somebody else or whatever, because you don't want to get in trouble. We get trained from an early age to live a dishonest life. So, get into a place where we can actually be honest and not afraid to say what's real, what really is in our minds is a miracle. Dove, please go ahead.
Yeah, well, actually, the one that's dishonest is always the ego. So when your mother came in and said, "Who spilled that?" Of course the ego is going to lie. But we're not the ego, which kind of connects with what you said here earlier, which is why I raised my hand to comment. You made an interesting comment. So this is after Rafi was sharing on how some scammers spend all day long trying to earn money. That's because that's their job to scam money. That's how they live. In today's world, a lot of people doing a lot of things, but it's always the ego. And what you said, which I'm picking up on, is, well, listen, whenever they're calling, they're calling to get you a blessing, and that is what you said, and that's so good because if the ego is calling, the ego doesn't want your blessing, the ego wants your money, period. And whether you want to give them money or not, that's something else. But on the other hand, if you want to look at it in truth, spirit just wants to bless you and ask for your blessings, and that is so true. That's what I wanted to share. Thanks.
Thank you, Dove. Thank you, thank you. And we love that. Give me your blessing, O Holy Son of God. And you know me, I'm blessed as a son of God. That's really all we're here for, is to bless and love each other.
That's
So
right.
thank you,
Very
Dove.
good. Thanks for the reminder.
All right, you guys. Well, gosh, look at this hour has gone by pretty quick. Does anybody else have anything to say? We have about 5 minutes left. Rafi, please go ahead.
If you want to be blessed, bless. If you want to be loved, love. It's so simple. It's so simple because it all originates from us.
Well,
That whole world out there is off the fiction. Is just our imagination. Is just a figment of our imagination. But the simplest thing is, if you want to be loved, love. Because whatever you put out, that's what gets reflected. Everything out there is a mirror. If you want to be blessed, bless. It's so simple. The simpler you keep it, the better it is. And the more you learn, and the more your mind gets quiet, and all that ego victim mentality crap that drives everybody to do things that, it disappears.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Rafi. And it does. There's no place for it. Regis, please go ahead.
Oh, yeah, thanks. This first sentence, guilt must be given up and not concealed. And I think that must is huge. Not should be, not needs to be, but it's saying guilt must be given up. And that takes me to a couple of places in the text. In text chapter 13, the guiltless world, it says, guilt hides Christ from your sight. Just that first part of the sentence, guilt hides Christ from your sight. for it is the denial of the blamelessness of God's Son. So, and then the sentence before that says, love and guilt cannot coexist. So it's really a pointing thing to realize, okay, I'm fooling myself. If I'm saying I'm a loving person, I'm offering love. Well, I can't offer love and guilt. I can't, so it's really, when you really look into it, it's like, hey, buddy, you better get it together. And I think this is why we down here in the songs of prayer, and it's saying guilt must be given up. See, we fooling ourselves to think we can hold hands with guilt and be this loving, spiritual, all-inclusive person. And then in the next paragraph it says, here's a good motivational word: without guilt, the ego has no life. Now that ought to motivate us to get rid of the guilt. You struggle with the ego. You feel like the ego is a problem for you. Without guilt, the ego has no life. And I mean, so when you fast forward to the song of prayer, it is saying guilt must be given up. That's, to me, that's just a real motivational word for me tonight. Thanks.
I love that. Thank you, Regis. And yeah, I think, for me, I'm really glad we had this meeting tonight. I was thinking, when I first came in, nobody was here. Dove came in, then Rafi, and I'm like, well, maybe nobody's going to show up and we'll just cancel for tonight. By the way, next Thursday, I will be canceling because I'll be at my kids' house for Thanksgiving. So next Thursday evening, I won't be here. During the day, I'll be here early for Thankful Thursday, but later in the evening, I won't be here. Just try to remember that. Anyway, but I'm really glad that you all showed up, because honestly, for me for the next week is something that I can really sink my teeth into, looking at where I project guilt, which is, I mean, honestly, I can't look at the news. I don't know about you. I can't look at the news without projecting guilt somewhere. I can't walk out in my neighborhood without projecting guilt somewhere. No, my neighbor don't keep his lawn right, or my neighbor does this or not. I honestly, the ego is just pointing out guilt everywhere. So, for me, this is going to be the watchword for me is, giving up guilt. Don't conceal it, but look for where I'm assigning it to people. Look for where I'm feeling it myself. And the only real escape lies in the recognition that the guilt is gone. And there's nothing happened, and nothing is happening. And wow, so beautiful. Let's see.
Hey, Lynn, can I ask you something?
Yes, sir.
Is Thanksgiving next Thursday?
I believe it is.
Yes, it is.
I think it's the next week.
No, next Thursday.
It's
I thought
next-
it was the 28th.
This coming Thursday is
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
today's the 21st, Rico.
Yeah,
Holy smokes, time's flying on me.
that's
Thank you.
right.
You must be having a good time.
Better
thought
get your
it-
Christmas shopping done.
Yeah, I thought it was 2 more weeks. Okay, thank you.
All right, you guys, I love you all so much. I'm so sorry.
Christmas is right around the corner.
Yep, Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. Please put a penny in the old man's hat. I remember singing that song when I was a kid, and I'm thinking, what's this all about, this fat geese and old men with, pennies in their hats?
Everybody
But
have
now
a
I
happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you guys
Thanks for
later.
telling me it was coming.
God bless. God bless. God bless.
I love it.
Thanks, Dove.